What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about are Norwegians really happy? And I know Norway consistently ranks as one of the happiest places on Earth. If you look at this Wikipedia poll, Norway is currently 7th in the entire world in happiness. And I know Norway consistently ranks really highly in happiness. So this Reddit discussion really caught my attention, where somebody asked, are you really happy, Norwegians? And a lot of Norwegians actually responded to this question. I think if you asked this question to Americans, a lot of Americans would actually say they're not that happy, or they're not completely happy, which is interesting because America is obviously, it's a great place to live. And compared to a lot of other countries in the world, we have it really comfortable here and really quite nice. And Norway is arguably even nicer, and it's happier, and in the polls, it always performs really well. But what do individual people from Norway say about happiness, their happiness in Norway? I was curious. So somebody asked, I keep hearing how Norwegians are happy in the media. Is that true? Are you happy? I know this is Reddit, and people are mostly I know this is Reddit, and people are mostly miserable here, but I still wanted to ask. Okay, so the demographics on Reddit, it's probably younger people on Reddit, and honestly, people who are anonymous and willing to give their opinion, which I'm really interested in. Norwegians answering this question. Are you happy? So let's take a look at the top comments. I do wish they wouldn't call it a happiness index. I think content is a better term. Oh, content. Oh, so already the top comment here is not, oh yeah, I'm very happy. Very happy. No, it's already like, I think happiness index is misleading. And this Norwegian would say they're content. Okay, it's interesting because you can really split hairs here, huh? And your own personal happiness, everyone has their own idea of what makes them happy and fulfilled in life. And like all Norwegians, similar to all Americans, are content in the fact that we have shelter, we all have food, and we have transport. We can live our lives in comfort. But once that is a given, you start, depending on deeper things for happiness. I think they even have a whole triangle in psychology about this. Hierarchy of needs, I believe. And after you have food and shelter, you start needing more to be happy, like fulfillment and stuff like that. So this Norwegian is saying they're content. I do feel most Norwegians are content. There's a lot of safety nets, like public services in Norway. There's a lot of public safety nets, so people don't need to get stressed out by questions like, will I be in an accident? What will the healthcare cost be? Will the healthcare cost bankrupt me? That's true. That is a that is a point in favor of Norway over America. A lot of Americans do get a lot of anxiety over healthcare. And in Norway, that's not the case. Yeah, that's interesting. It does sometimes come down to little things like that. Like, once you have the basic needs met, it's, developing nations, like, have small little differences. Like, can you afford education? Can you afford healthcare? Do you have the job that you want? Are you as wealthy as you want to be? Are you content? Also, Norway still has a lot of trust, and it's because we are generally trustworthy, right? Lost items get returned. Raw theft is uncommon. This is very good points. This explains to me why Norway scores better. Norway scores better than America in happiness. Norway has healthcare that I think you pay with taxes, and it's all covered. So that's less stress compared to America. Norway has more trust, for sure. For sure, Norway has more trust in its culture than America. Um, yeah, that's actually a big one. Here in America, there's a lot more crime. Norway has less crime. Yeah, yeah. These are good reasons why Norway is happier. Although this person said everyone is content, not necessarily happy. Our politicians tend to focus on serving the people as a whole. While there's been a spate of scandals recently, the politicians are far less prone to primarily look at their own interests. So Norwegians are sort of happy with their politics, and they focus on helping the whole. Okay, let's take a look at some more comments. I've lived in the 3 countries. 1 third world country, 1 first world country, like America, and Norway. Talking about happiness is relative. But what I feel here is that I don't have to worry about 1,000 things that just drags me more down when I'm depressed. That's true. Okay, so basically what I'm understanding here is Norway is a great place to live. You're going to be content. You're going to be taken care of. You're going to have your basic needs met. But that does not mean you are happy as an individual. That's too specific. So these happiness indexes, these measuring happiness, it's kind of a fool's errand. It's kind of impossible to determine the happiness of all of Norway. So that's kind of what the first comment was getting at. Like, I think all Norwegians are content and taken care of and pleased with how Norway, a lot of the policies of Norway, but are Norwegians happy? That's sort of a personal sort of thing. Education and healthcare is covered, and in most jobs, people will not mess with you. That's more than you can say of all the other countries I have lived in. Okay, so yeah, it seems like, here's another way to put it. Living in Norway gives you a very, very high chance of obtaining happiness. Norway is a great place to live if your goal is to be happy, because things are very good. That's another way to put it. I don't feel happy, as I tend to be depressed, but I feel content and safe in my country. Again, it seems like a lot of the people here kind of nitpick with this word, happy. Happy. It's more like a lot of people are like, I'm definitely taken care of, content, I'm safe. There's healthcare, there's education, but happiness is a little more than that. Like everyone else, I have things I wish was better, but for the most part, I am pretty happy. I think that right there is like the perfect comment. I bet that is representative of a lot of Norwegians' feelings, I think. Some things could be better. A lot of things are good, and you're most part pretty happy. That's pretty accurate. I mean, that's pretty accurate way to sort of talk about the United States as well, to be honest. Nah, I suffer from chronic depression. Dang. Well, I hope you feel better. Oh my God. Lonely. People on Reddit are mostly lonely. Okay, so this is where like the Reddit bias comes in. Because the people commenting here are people who like to interact with others on the internet. So this is this sample size is a little specific. I understand that. Okay. Let's take a look here at some more. These are real interesting comments, honestly. Nobody so far, no Norwegian here, has come out and said, yeah, the stats are true. I'm extremely happy. I feel like a top happy country in the world. No one has really done that yet. I think the general happiness here is pretty high. Okay, there we go. Especially from native Norwegians and compared to other populations in other nations. Is it the highest happiness in the world? Maybe not. But a lot of things that contribute to happiness are fulfilled here. Yes, I agree with that. Happiness is kind of a personal thing. And Norway has a lot of the things that will that set you up to be happy, at least. To give yourself a good opportunity to be happy. I am happy. There we go. Someone, Mocking Bean, that's their name. They're happy. All right, this is the first A happy, genuinely happy Norwegian. Fantastic. Uh, we have a bunch of relatively happy people because we have safety nets. It's not a plus 10 happiness. It's just moving more people towards a medium. Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it. And Norwegians, like, maybe the average Norwegian's happiness is higher than a lot of other countries. And that's in part due to because Norwegians feel like they're taken care of with all the social safety nets, basically. That makes sense to me. America doesn't have as many social safety nets. And I think for the people who use them, they are very thankful for those. I am relatively content. I could wish for more, but I have much more to lose than I have to gain. Right, right. Especially when you start thinking about, like, your country compared to third world countries. Yet, none of us, like, for the most part, as Americans and Norwegians, we're not starving to death. We're not going down to a lake or a puddle to try to find muddy, dirty water to boil, to drink, and find something to eat, and making roof tiles out of mud to earn $1 an hour. That's, like, literally is the reality for some people in other countries. So it's hard to... It's funny because happiness really changes depending on your circumstances. And even though we have it so good in America and very, very good in Norway, it's still... you adjust, and it takes more to be content. It's funny how that works. Right now, it's the middle of the winter. It's horribly cold, and transport is a mess in the main cities. Right, what a time of year to bring up this topic, huh? What a time. Are you happy? While in Norway, it's the middle of the winter, it's cold. I know a lot of public transport is out of commission. Oh my God, I've been seeing Norwegian news that I like to look at, every week or so. And the winter and cold in Norway right now is unbelievable. So this is a funny time to be talking about happiness. The only people I've seen smiling in the past 2 days are drunk or high. Bars are going bankrupt more than ever before. Food prices and electricity are sky high. The only people not complaining are the ones with a good job and no kids. Huh. I'm a student and I've never seen a more somber start of a semester. Not to mention students barely afford anything these days. Interesting. This post makes it sound like, even though Norway is in general a happy place to live, and it's got a lot of things going for it, this time of year, and maybe what's going on like with the economy right now, and inflation and prices, people are probably, if this is a chart of Norway's happiness going up, 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 it might have gone like a little bit down, or leveling off compared to other years. Huh. Yes, I am happy, as in being content. Safe. I enjoy a good work-life balance. That's another huge thing in Norway. The work-life balance. There's a lot of reasons, as much as we're talking about why some people here are not happy as Norwegians, there's a lot of good points here about why Norway does rank so high in happiness. And one of those is the work-life balance. Compared to America, this is a huge one. This is like healthcare is better in Norway. Education costs better in Norway. Work-life balance, much better in Norway. I believe you get a lot more time off, a lot more maternity leave if you have a baby. Vacation, Norwegians also, I think, basically live. How does the saying go? Norwegians work so that they can live, while a lot of Americans live to go to work. And it doesn't feel like there's any part of their day that's just their own life. It's just work. We're alive to work. And that's a terrible feeling. And I think Norway does a much better job at, okay, Norwegians work to make money, to enjoy life. That's the point. Using that to enjoy life outside of work. Yeah, that's important. That's very important. And I, and most Norwegians, have beautiful nature freely available. Yes. Yes. Another great point. The amazing nature. Like, it's funny. It's almost like something you don't even think about. But literally, even the physical nature and geography of Norway um, probably makes you happier. And having access to that, and hiking and skiing, when it's not freezing cold outside. And lots of other benefits, several due to high tax levels, but that's fair. I feel quite privileged, to be honest. I think, yeah, that's kind of the question. Norwegians probably would, out of all the places they could have been born, I think most Norwegians are very happy to have been born Norwegians in Norway. Very lucky. I think most Norwegians are very, very happy about that. None would want to, like, roll the dice and get born again and see what kind of country you end up in. Norway, I think most Norwegians would be like, yeah, Norway is like hitting the lottery. So that kind of speaks in favor of the high happiness. Okay, let's see a couple more comments here on are Norwegians really happy? I think satisfaction with life is a better term. Yeah, happiness is a fleeting emotion. You will meet happy and unhappy people in Norway, and people more and less satisfied with life. People in Norway tend to rate their satisfaction with reference to other Norwegians, which is why a Norwegian who is a little less well off might report lower satisfaction. Right, even though they are better off than someone in Sudan or North Korea. Yeah, this is kind of one of the main points here today, I think. All Norwegians should feel like content and happy to be in a country where your basic needs are met. But once that is true, your individual happiness, you kind of compare yourself to other people. Norwegians compare themselves to other Norwegians. And even though all Norwegians are kind of up on this high happiness level, you start looking at other people like you, and you kind of let that control your happiness level, how it compares to other people that are like you. And he might be dissatisfied that everything is not optimal for him, but on average, Norwegians have more things to be satisfied with objectively. Yes, if we're looking at this scientifically, Norwegians have a lot of things going for them that should, in theory, raise their happiness. Whether it actually does is another story, but all of the pieces are there. Whether that's healthcare or education or a good work-life balance or whatever. And so there's a truth to what you're hearing, but Norwegians also have high expectations. Interesting. Yes. Are you happy? Yes. Okay, there you go. Yes. Are you happy? Some days better than others. I'm not exactly naturally inclined toward a state of bliss. So no. Content though, maybe. A lot of Norwegians here saying they're content. I do believe living in Norway gives me less to worry about. Yes, exactly. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. I think it makes perfect sense. It's understandable that Norwegians here in this discussion, at least, say, I'm content. Happiness is kind of a sliding scale, and that's a strong word and an emotion tough to pin down and analyze. But most Norwegians seem to say they're happy or content and have a good chance at being happy, but content for sure, which is really interesting. So this was basically, wow, all in all, this was just a lot of Norwegians saying, yeah, we know that we have it very good in Norway. I don't complain about many things, so I'm definitely taken care of and content and happy about many things. But then, we're all humans, so there's going to be things that you're not happy about, and that's normal. And that makes a lot of sense, honestly. Looking over all this, that makes a lot of sense to me, but I just thought this was a real interesting topic because Norway is always brought up in this discussion of what's the happiest places on Earth. So people think of Norway And we think of just Norwegians all the time, like, oh, yeah, yeah, happy, like, and that's just not the reality. Like, no one is like that. Happiness is, like, a little harder to define, but Norway is definitely, like, as they put it here, more content and more happy on average, we'll say. So that makes sense. Anyway, I thought this was quite enjoyable to learn about and hear about from Norwegians. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with, your thoughts on are you happy as a Norwegian? That'd be very interesting. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.